Hi, I'm Emily Guerra. I was born in space. Where is that? That's Santa Rita, New Mexico, where one of our first astronauts, Harrison Schmitt, was born there and started the club Born in Space. My given name was Emilia Guerra, but they always called me Emily. I was born in New Mexico, raised in Bayard, and grew up and then raised also in Arizona. So my father had to find work in another state. He was on his way to Nevada. Car broke down in Arizona, and he was told there's copper mines here. So that's where we ended up in Superior, Arizona. So another reason I say Born in Space is because it was a big open pit copper mine now. It was a little town where the hospital was, and in the 50s they had to move the entire town because now it's a big open pit mine. So there was a copper mining industry there that my father worked for when I was born and raised there. My parents are Willie Guerra, Guillermo Eduardo Guerra, and my mother Helen Flores Guerra. My dad was born in Old Mesilla, New Mexico, and my mom in Vanadium, New Mexico. So I'm fifth generation. My dad's parents were from Old Mesilla. His father was a blacksmith, Simon Dominguez Guerra. Back in the mid-1800s, there were 12 German families who came here, and my great-great-grandfather was one of them, and his name was Daniel B. Fritzi, who married Maria Felicitas Alderete. My mother's side, her father was Epimenio Trujillo Flores, and his wife was Susie Vigil Flores, my grandmother. My great-great-grandfather was Jose Maria Flores, and one of the founders of Doña Ana, New Mexico. So we go back quite a ways here in New Mexico, a lot of generations, and I'm very proud of that. I'd like to tell you about how my family's connected to Mesilla. My grandfather, as I mentioned, Simon Guerra, was a town blacksmith. He became a blacksmith because he was a farmer first, and he needed to shoe his horses, so he started shoeing his horses. That's how then people came and asked for help with their needs in blacksmithing. But he and his brother Vicente Guerra were both justice of the peace, and his brother Vicente Guerra at one time owned the Fountain Theater. He had bought the Fountain Theater and the apartments next to it. To this day it says Guerra Apartments. He added sound to the theater so that they could have sound. So then it went back to the Fountain family. But that's part of the connection with downtown Old Mesilla and the blacksmith shop. And across from the blacksmith shop is the elementary school, which is now the Mesilla Community Center. And my father, it's right across from the house that my grandmother was born in, where my father had to help with the farm work. As I said, my grandfather was a farmer. It's across the street. They had to excuse him because they saw that he had to work on the farm with the cows and the chickens and everything else before he could go to school. Next to the post office was the grocery store, which was the D.C. Fritzi grocery store, Daniel Carrion Fritzi, my grandmother's brother. But his father, who was German, had been a merchant as well. And so there's a lot of history in Old Mesilla with my family and the community. We always used to go to come back to New Mexico every year, at least 2 times a year. My father would come to Old Mesilla, and I loved coming to visit with my grandparents, both in Bayard and in Mesilla. And I would learn stories about them and learn how to cook, different things than what my mother would cook. And so that last year, just before my last year of high school, my dad said, well, you like it so much, you want to go there? You're going to go there. Well, I thought it was mainly for that, but that year, my grandfather, Simon, had a stroke. So that's why they wanted me to come and help my grandmother with him. I went to Las Cruces High School. I hadn't even turned 18, and I went to San Francisco, from the little towns to a big city, not knowing anything. There was a movie industry coming into town. This is where my career starts. And I lived in California for 20 years. I worked for the movie producer for Occidental Petroleum Corporation, a petroleum company, the Century City Chamber of Commerce for about 4 years, and that was one of my favorite jobs. That's where I learned how to network, how to work with the public, how to, and I think I've used that a lot now. Before I came back to New Mexico, before I decided to go back to school, I asked God, well, what's my gift to the world? He said, your voice. And that's when, because I had been doing commercials for the airlines, and so that's when I came back to New Mexico State University and was able to use my voice. I graduated in 2001, a Crimson Scholar. But just before graduating in 2000, they asked me if I would like to co-host with Victor Ponce, my predecessor, on Fiesta. Hi, I'm Emily Guerra, your host on Fiesta. And during my travels, all the years that I traveled with Mexican Airlines, nearly 15 years, I would pick up a CD, never knowing I was going to be on the radio. I went to Peru, I went to Argentina, I went to Brazil, and those were awesome trips. And I'd pick up music there because I enjoyed music. My grandfather played the piano, and I learned to love music. My mother loved music. I just loved the fact that my father, at that time I didn't like it. He was very strict. You're going to speak all Spanish or all English. None of this half and half. No Spanglish here. And so I said, okay, so I'm just going to speak English. But luckily, when I went to California and I took some classes at UCLA, and then I came back here years later when I got my degree in journalism, I also got a degree in Spanish, in languages.
Hola, podemos viajar al mundo con la música. Acompáñenme en la fiesta con una mezcla ecléctica.
That's how I'm able to share the language with my listeners, and little do they know, I'm teaching them a little bit of Spanish as we go along, because I truly try to translate what I say. During all this time, while I was on the radio, I was asked to be a mistress of ceremonies. So I've emceed in the town of Mesilla for about 11 years. I was the mistress of ceremonies for the Cinco de Mayo fiestas and the 16 de Septiembre fiestas, and around town for other events. And lately, the most rewarding has been with the Las Cruces Mariachi International Conference, where I got to be mistress of ceremonies, emceeing the Mariachi Sundays in the month of October. So during my time with KRWG, I've received a lot of recognition. There's been an article about me, a couple of articles. In fact, when I was at Crux, when I started that bilingual show there, and then it was called Oye Como Va, and then going on now in 2019, from El Paso, Los Premios de la Gente, their 6th annual, I was presented an award for Best Bilingual Show as well. And then this year, I was presented from the New Mexico Broadcasters Association for Best DJ Personality for a large market area, and KRWG also won an award for Best Radio Show. So I've been at New Mexico State University for 23 years. I'm still here. I graduated in 2000. I came in 1998 to school at the age of 50, and now 23 years later, I'm still here at New Mexico State University, but as an employee for KRWG, and for 23 years sharing the music, sharing all that I learned throughout my life, my travels here, and sharing with you what I love best is the music. I'm still working at the radio station. I love working. I don't know, people ask me, so when are you going to retire? I'm getting, I'm 74 years old. It's 2022 and I'm 74 years old. I still have a good voice. I feel I have a good voice. My mind is still there. Little aches and pains, a little arthritis, but I can still do my job. And I love sharing with the community what I enjoy is the music. So I'm very proud to belong to this organization. I'm very proud to belong to this community, to being a New Mexican, and thanks to my family.